Welcome to a new video of the SANTELMOcontigo series. My name is José Antonio Boquerini, and I am the professor and the director of the food department at Santelmo Business School. We are welcoming today Paul Martin, the chair of the Global Retail Group and the UK head of retail at KPMG. Paul has worked as an advisor and also as a retailer for more than 20 years. He chaired the UK and European retail think tanks and is a regular speaker and commentator on the future of retail, both in events and in the media. Paul is also an advisor to many of the world's leading retailers and their CEOs. Paul, which are the main trends you are observing in global retail as a result of this crisis?
What is very important to highlight in this context is that many of the trends we are observing have already been in existence before the COVID-19 health crisis, but COVID is accelerating these trends. I would highlight four key themes. The first theme is business model and partnerships. We have seen over the last years a significant increase and question mark over the validity of the historic retail business model. Retailing has been the same for tens, if not hundreds of years in many countries around the world. If you would go back to ancient Rome or ancient Greece, retailing has broadly been the same, with a focus on sourcing good product, shipping good product, and then selling product. But with the emergence of online business models and the platform business model over a number of years, that traditional retail business model has been evolving into multi-channel, into omni-channel, and today platform ecosystems. And that means many legacy retail businesses have needed to change. And COVID-19 means these businesses are going to have to accelerate this change. Otherwise, we need to fear for their future survival. And in that context, if I look at the retail value chain, and I mentioned source, ship, and sell, that value chain has become more complicated. Retailers today have to be technology companies, have to be logistics companies, have to be data companies, as these are the businesses they are competing with. And that is very unlikely to be a skill set many retailers have. And if I look at both capabilities and access to capital of retail, they are going to have to partner with other businesses to focus and broaden this value chain going forward, as doing it on their own is going to be very difficult. The second point I would like to highlight is the cost of doing business. If I take the UK as an example, and we know retail has always been a low operating margin industry. In 2013, on average, UK retail generated a 4% profit margin. In 2019, that is before this crisis emerged, that profit margin had nearly halved and had decreased to 2.5%. And we expect COVID-19 to further decrease that profit margin. And in that context, many retailers are telling me when we move into life after COVID, they are going to have to significantly reduce their cost base. A number of sources highlighting this will have to be up to 30%. And if I think of the main cost factors, cost of goods, how do you decrease the cost of products you have in your ecosystem will be very important. We have already seen a decrease in ranges offered by many retailers. Currently, to enhance supply chain efficiency and store operations, you do not need 15 types of milk cartons in your stores today. You only need 1 or 2 types. But this will lead, in my opinion, to quite a significant range reduction. The second main point is real estate, which is another big cost factor in retail, and we will see very likely a reduction of store numbers, but also a repurposing of the physical store going forward. The third point is the customer. And it has been clear for a number of years, those organizations that truly understand who their customer is have had a winning formula. And especially those businesses that are only able to trade online, but have a limited understanding of who she or he is they interact with, have not been able to personalize their messages to their customers, have not been able to activate their most loyal and their most valuable customers. And that is going to be an area successful retail businesses are going to have to focus on. And the final trend I would like to highlight is purpose. Purpose and sustainability will be a very important factor going forward. Retailers are going to have to highlight they have done the right thing during this crisis. If we think back to the financial crash in 2008, 2009, the sustainability agenda was broadly wiped off the CEO leadership agenda for a number of years, but it has come back in 2016-17, becoming one of the 3 key points on retail leaders' agendas. And I would argue that this point will be here for the near future, and consumers will only want to deal with businesses that share similar values to them.
Building on what you say, a very concrete question. So we will see a focus in efficiency by need. We will see also, will we see an increase in low-cost proposals such as private labels, a strong intensification of assortment, streamlining strategies that will impact manufacturers very importantly?
I would argue that is the case. And if I look at the different phases retail businesses are currently going through and will need to go through, I would articulate 4 distinct phases. But it is important to mention that these phases will not happen in a sequential manner. They will happen in a parallel way of working going forward. The first phase is the react phase. How have businesses reacted to the current crisis? And many businesses in Europe are now coming to the end of the react phase. And the react phase initially was focused on cash preservation and liquidity. The second point for non-essential retailers in this context was optimizing their workforce and understanding how to access various government schemes, which of course vary country by country. And for essential retailers, the 2 key points were: how do you ensure the resilience of your supply chain and availability of products whilst keeping your staff and your customers safe in that process? We've then seen retailers move to the resilience phase. How do you operate your business as usual processes whilst the current pandemic and various government-related shutdown measures are still in place? But how do you start building a business as usual approach to ways of working? But at the same time, retailers need to be thinking about both the recovery and the new normal phase. As I mentioned, COVID-19 has accelerated many changes in consumer behavior, such as the acceleration of online. That has been a big trend we have seen in markets like China, where we already have the highest online penetration at 28% globally. But during the C-19 pandemic, that has spiked to over 50%. Another key point, and I've already mentioned this, will be a reduction in physical store numbers. And those store numbers going forward, those stores we will keep, will need to adhere to social distancing measures, and social distancing is here to stay, very likely until the end of 2021, maybe even further of that. The third point I would highlight is the reduction in ranges. That is going to be a really pivotal point for retailers, as on the one side, it can help on working capital, it can reduce the complexity in supply chains, whilst at the same time will also ensure a more focused approach to dealing with the supplier community. And that reduction in range will also tie in with own label outputs. Own label, as we know historically, has had higher margins. And if you take that into consideration with the reduction in cost of doing business, retailers are going to have to reinvent their offer quite significantly in this context.
I think you already answered the next question I had, which was how will the future of retail globally look like? I don't know if you have something to add on that. I think we are running out of time. Just I
think I combined those questions.
Yes. Paul, thanks very much for your insights and your thoughts. Keep safe and lots of success with your work ahead.
Thank you very much, Jose. Please stay safe and well, and looking forward to speaking to you and your colleagues in the near future.